And now for something completely different.
Wisdom is the proper use of knowledge and experience. I came here for the truth. Are you planting seeds or growing weeds? Community is our family, faith, and friends. Enlighten me a little. What you say is quite logical. Welcome to Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. The show is Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show. We're doing this show from Las Vegas, and we're going to interview a friend of mine that I've known since 1979, 1980. And we're doing it, let's see what today is. It is the 13th of August, 2026. And we're going to talk to a friend of mine, and his name is Ken Johnson. I first got to meet Ken, like I said, in 79, 80, working at a gas station called Whitney's Texaco on the corner of Sahara and Eastern. And he was the mechanic, and he was kind of like one of the bosses, and he fixed all the cars and even worked on a couple vehicles of mine and helped me keep mine running, you know, back in the day when I was in high school, making a whole, I don't know, $3 an hour or whatever it was back then. That was minimum wage then. But we're going to talk to him a little about his life and growing up. And he started off in Utah and then moved to Vegas and still in Vegas. And we're going to have him tell us a little bit about his life. And I'm looking forward to this interview. And he has never done anything like this before, so he might be just a little bit shy. We'll coax him out of that, and he'll be just fine in just a couple minutes here, I guarantee it. And then we'll get on with this show. So, Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And don't get nervous or anything like that. It's just you and I having a little chat. There just happens to be a microphone in front of us. Having a little, and you know, more people are afraid of microphones than people are afraid of snakes. I don't know why it is, but you know. It's just what it is, and they get nervous when they get a microphone around it, but there's nothing.
It's because we can shoot a snake and you can't shoot a microphone.
Well, you can unplug a microphone or yeah.
Never thought of that.
But anyways, we are going to have a chat. So as I said, you were from Utah. You were born in Utah, right?
Correct.
Born and raised in Utah?
Yep.
We're in Utah. You had told me, but it's been, I don't know, 30, 40 years since you told me we're in Utah. You were born. My memory isn't quite that good to hold on to that kind of information.
I was born in Richfield, but we actually lived in a little one-dog town 8 miles away from it called Elsinore. And I have 4 sisters, and I was actually the first child of my parents that was born in a hospital. The rest of them were, I guess you'd say, midwifed. So that was a big deal. I got to be born in a hospital. How cool!
Oh, where in line are you? Where were you? What number child? So there was.
I was
5
the
of
last
you.
one.
You're the very last one.
Yes, I was an unexpected child. Like I say, I had 4 sisters. There was 8 years difference between me and the next one up. So I was kind of a big surprise to everybody.
Well, thank heavens you didn't just get hand-me-downs from them when you were growing up, huh? So.
As a matter of fact, I did. They sent me to school wearing their dresses until I was in 2nd grade. And
That's terrible. Terrible. That's funny though. So.
well, you got to.
Oh, there goes the wife. She's off and running.
She cleans
See ya,
up.
Kathy.
She cleans up pretty nice, doesn't she?
She cleans up really nice.
Bye, dear.
So you were born there. Let's see, you're 80 now. So you're born in what? 46.
Actually, I'm 76 now. Now, quit giving
76.
quit giving me those extra ages or extra years.
Somehow I thought you were 80. I thought Scott said you were 80, but Scott will say all kinds of stuff just to insult people. But
Well, he's probably telling you how I feel.
you feel like you're 80. That may be what it was. Okay. So 76. Wow.
Born in December '49.
49. Man. So you're coming up on 77 real quick here.
Exactly.
Very good. So the town that you were in, what was basically it was a farming town.
It was a little farming community.
Okay.
My dad Well, he worked at a granary. What they did is took grain in and ground it down, and it made it for the to feed the cattle. But I was probably about 6 years old when that burned down, and we never did figure out why. So he went to work on the farm. So that's all I knew was farming. And then my mother cleaned houses, and she had to bum a ride from Elsinore to Richfield, 8 miles away, to clean houses. And she made a whopping 75 cents an hour, which would figure out to $6 a day. When I left there 18 years later, she was up to a whopping $8 or $10 a day. So it was kind of a little poverty-stricken area, but everybody else was poverty-stricken too, so wasn't that much of a big deal.
Yeah. So what did you guys have on your farm? What did you guys raise, or what grow or raise or whatever?
Well, actually, like I say, we lived in town. Dad actually worked for a guy that had a farm.
Okay.
Now, what he did, he raised cattle and sheep. So it was mostly cattle. He'd bring in the yearlings and raise them up, put some weight on them and all, and then sell them, and then start all over again with the next crop the next year. So that was the routine. It was a 7-day-a-week job. Every morning those doggone cows seemed to think they needed something to eat, so didn't matter what day of the week it was. Dad had to get down and feed the cows. And
was it a dairy farm mainly, or
No.
for
no,
meat?
it was
Meat
strictly
farm?
for meat. Yeah, we had some dairy farms around there. In fact, one of my good friends, his dad had a dairy farm, but I'd gone out and helped him milk the cows and all. But we didn't have to do that. We just had to feed the cows and make sure they had plenty of water and be on our merry way and go plow the fields and do all that stuff. Made sure we had crop of upcoming hay for them.
Okay. So typical, you're living on the farm basically, and
Yeah, the farm life.
farm life. I kind of live a little bit of that there in Enterprise when I'm up there. I have my own garden, my own, stuff like that, chickens and all that. But the real dairy, they have a dairy farm and a meat farm, up there too, that the Holtz own up there, and it's a big operation up there. But yeah, life on the farm, huh? That's how long did you stay in town before? Well, let's just go through school. You went through school, obviously. What schools did you go to? Any special schools as far as? Do they have any special classes like in the high schools there, or in the classes for farming, or is it just everybody's basically a farmer, so you just learn at home or learn on the farm?
Mostly everybody's farmers around there. I mean, you had Richfield where you had a few people worked at the businesses, but not much. And I lived about 2 blocks from the school, which, gosh, it was a school that was probably built sometime in the late 1800s or early 1900s. Actually, beautiful building. And then somewhere when I was young, they built another schoolhouse, probably 200 yards away from it. And we had the upper grades in there, like 4th, 5th, and 6th. And then we went to what's called the White Building, which was actually pretty cool. They restored that and made it into a town monument. Needless enough to say, there haven't been anybody going there for years. And then the new building that they had built, they eventually end up tearing it down. But we only went through 6th grade there, and then they had to bus us over to Richfield. I'm sorry, not Richfield, Monroe. And that's where we went to school. We went through junior high and high school in Monroe.
What size town? I mean, just guessing back then, how many people in the town of Richfield or Monroe?
Richfield, I'm going to guess, probably had about 5,000. Monroe wasn't a whole bunch bigger than Elsinore. I'm going to say maybe 1,000 people. So everybody knew everybody, and if you ever got in a jam, you had people that help you. And I always tell people the friends I had, if I go play with them and the friends got out of line, I probably did too. And they and myself both got our butts spanked by their mother. And I mean, if you needed something, they took care of you. And
Yeah, that small town life, I've found that up in Enterprise to be like that. Enterprise is what, 2,500, so it's pretty much just about everybody knows everybody or who's where. And I love the directions when you say, well, how do I find such and such's house? Well, you go over to this. He's across the street from such and such. Well, I don't know where they live either. So, do you have an address? Oh, I don't know. I don't know their address. I just know they live across the street from such and such. And all right, well, that didn't help at all.
in my day, we didn't have addresses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You
go past the big barn here, and you take the first left, and it's right past where you'll see the cattle off to the right-hand side, and it's a third house there.
so
They got the John Deere tractor sitting out front.
So kind of the same thing with everybody up there in Enterprise too. Is just, it cracks me up when they say stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know anybody up there. I know a few people, but the small town life is so different than being here in Vegas. It's everything is marked out, coordinated, cordoned off, whatever, and go up there and it's like, oh yeah, just down the street over there goes like the street, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I knew everybody in town better there than I know the neighbors, say 100 yards down the road from me from here. Here I know the close neighbors, but people down the street, we don't have anything in common, so you never get to know them. So yeah, I miss a lot of things about the country life.
Yeah, I have found it myself completely different and fascinating. I still enjoy the Vegas life, but I find it fascinating up there, just how quiet and how different it is, But so you went through junior high, middle school in Monroe. So you graduated from what, Monroe High School or
South Sevier High School.
Sevier?
It was Sevier County.
Oh, okay.
It was called Richfield High School. They had theirs, and then North Sevier had their school there, and we were South Sevier. And we were kind of unique because we always had the greatest basketball team. We could whip any of them's butt.
Some of them small towns, not like Enterprise, they're winning state champions on all kinds of stuff all the time. For a little town of 2,500 people, man, they smoke everybody. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in the water. I don't know what's going on there, but those kids are always in football or basketball, whatever it is. They win state championships over and over again in that little town. And I find it so fascinating when they do win a state championship, the fire department, everybody goes and does a parade up and down all the streets with the fire, the engines and the sirens going, and
Yes.
to let everybody know they won another championship,
Kids out there with their wagons.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just it's. I still stare at it and go, this is so strange but so neat, So, did you play any sports in high school? Did you do anything?
I did.
What'd you do?
Well, first of all, you kind of got me on that subject. I went into a doctor down here, and he asked where I was from, and I told him I was from Elsinore, and he says, oh, you went to South Sevier High School, huh? And I says, yeah, I did. And he says, I was from Salina, so I went to North Sevier. He said, do you know where that is? And I says, well, of course I did. I says, we used to go over there a couple of times a year and whip your butt in basketball. And he just nods his head, and he says, yep, you sure did. He says, and then we'd come over and drive over to Monroe and whip your butt in baseball. And I said, yep, you sure did.
So isn't that weird that you come down here and you find somebody because that happened here in town in
Yes.
Vegas?
Yes, it was pretty good. It was a doctor.
Somebody from up there. Isn't it weird how you just bump into
was.
people that you would think, no way, am I going to bump into anybody like that? And that happened to me when I was down in Australia, and went to somebody's house. They said, oh yeah, they're actually from America, and so I went over to the house. I started talking to the people that were there when I was down there on the mission, and found out that they lived over in the 27th ward. They were lived by the what was it, the Showboat Hotel, and they knew everybody that I knew, and I'm like,
Pretty
how
cool,
do I
isn't
go
it?
10,000 miles away and run into people that know everybody I know back 10,000 miles away?
As I say, it's a small world.
It is in so many ways. It's crazy. So anyways, you did play sports. So what was it?
Well, considering the size of the schools, almost everybody played sports. I mean, we had a guy that was pigeon-toed, and he still played baseball and did really good. He couldn't run fast enough to do very good in basketball, but yeah, we played basketball and baseball. The area wasn't big enough to have a football team, but I wasn't very good at basketball or baseball. Actually, I did better on the church basketball team. We had a lot of fun there. But I did run track for 2 years and done really good at that. That was my claim to fame.
What did you run? What was your
I was a
event?
sprinter, the 100-yard dash and the 220.
Oh, okay. Well, to me, knowing you as long as I had, I wouldn't have looked at you and said you were a sprinter. It's not saying you're fat or anything like that, Cam, but you're.
Well, when you knew me, I was fat.
Yeah, well, I was being polite. Come on, I was trying to be really polite here. No, it's and I just didn't picture you as a sprinter, but that's Did you do pretty good in it, or did you?
Well, again, it was all small town.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I actually tied the 100-yard record for our school, and I beat it by 1/10 of a second, which this is with a stopwatch, so take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But they didn't count it because I had done it on a better track, which was Richfield as opposed to ours. But that was the only thing I was any good at.
Oh.
But like I say, we had a lot of fun with our sports. Again, considering we were 5 miles away from Monroe, taking sports, they would have us stay after school, play basketball and baseball and all of that. Then we had to either walk home or bum a ride. We had a back road that we would take, and a lot of times you'd find people traveling that road that they knew you and they'd give you a ride home. But many times we walked from Monroe back to Elsinore. And the sad thing was the school was on the far south end of town, and my house was on the far north end of town. So it's probably about a 7-mile walk, but we did a lot of jogging and kind of kept us in shape. So we actually had a blast doing it.
So kept in shape. Did you look at it back then as being, oh, poor me, or anything like that? That we having to do this, or just with what it was?
No, you didn't know any different.
It's just what it was,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Like I say, the people around there were all poor, but we didn't know we were poor, and we all lived pretty much the same lifestyle, and I couldn't think of a better place to grow up.
Because 7 miles is a good jaunt. I mean,
It
that's,
is.
That's nothing to sneeze at all.
Yeah, it is.
That's so 7 miles. And in the winter, I know that it snowed up there in the winter and stuff, so that's added a little bit spice to that too. So, well, very good. So, high school, graduated. How'd you do in high school? Were you a good student, or just did it muddled through, or where were you in that life?
I would like to lie and just tell you that I was a great student, but my mother may be looking down on me, so I probably better tell you the truth. And no, I was just your average student.
Yeah.
There was a lot better, but luckily there were some that were even worse. So I had some really good teachers that I really liked. I had some teachers that how do I politely say this, that I couldn't stand.
Yeah. Well, they're probably not around anymore anyway, so it doesn't.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
What's funny is we got a guy we go to church with that has got family in Monroe. And I come to find out my history teacher, who I did not like, was relation to him. And this guy I go to church with, him and his wife are the nicest people you had ever met. So I pretty much keep my mouth shut about my opinion. His probably uncle or whoever, who knows what the relationship was. But no, I had really good teachers, and we did well there. I remember getting my first D in history. I got a D plus. My mother was mad as an old wet hen. Her answer to that was, I tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a $5 bill if you can turn that into an A. And my D was the first quarter, and my last quarter I ended up with an A minus and got the $5. So that was a big deal for me. Here it is 70 years later or 65 years later, and I still remember that.
Yeah.
Can't remember what I did for $5, but
Well, $5 was some decent dough too.
it was.
Not like today. $5. What's that do? Buy you a Coca-Cola or something at the store. It doesn't really get you a whole lot anymore.
Yes. Well, at our local store, we had a candy counter. The bottom line was penny candy, which had some that was 2 for a penny. The next row up was nickel candy bars, and the top one was a dime. Nothing in there was over a dime. So that $5, that went a long ways.
So it sounds like you kind of remember what you did with some of that $5.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably what I did with almost all of it.
Your dog's underneath the table playing with me.
He does that.
He's pushing on me and shoving me around underneath there. So,
That's why they call them lap dogs.
yeah, I can see why. He leaned right up against me, and now he's like kicking on me, like, "Hey, I'm down here, play with me." So
You're lucky you've only got one of the two on you.
they're good-looking dogs, good-looking, and they're short hair,
German short hair pointers.
German short hair.
They're, in my opinion, they're the very best bird dogs that is out there. These guys are phenomenal. Plus, their personality matches their skills. So
Excellent. Good-looking animals.
I tell everybody, if you're lacking on your French kissing skills, Rosie's the one to go see.
Oh,
She'll help you fine-tune them.
she likes to kiss on you, huh?
Oh, she does.
No, I'll pass on all that. Yeah, that's okay. I'll pass and believe everything you just told me.
Well, you could go home with some new skills. Your wife would probably be really happy
I
that
don't know
you've
about that.
that you've been here.
She might be jealous and say, "How did you learn how to do all that?" You know. She might say, "I remember you doing that before." Oh, where's my glasses? Looking for my glasses here. Anything in high school that you want to just tell about? We've got about 2 more minutes here. If any fun stories about, of course you had some girlfriends, I imagine. You had to have some, lady companionship somewhere around there.
Well, considering I'm married now, I don't think I really want to talk about them too much. But yeah, there was the thing about the country girls, they are loaded with personality. They are the sweetest things you would ever see. And being a Mormon farm boy, we had enough sense. We kept our hands off them and didn't do anything that we would be reprimanded for. And I can't think of any of them there that I just wouldn't want to go back and see. I went back for a 50th reunion, and it was such a treat seeing them. Little town of Joseph, which is about 5 miles away, they had the best girls in the whole world.
What made them the best?
They had the best personalities. They were all fairly cute. I mean, which has nothing to do with it. There had to be something in the water because, like I say, all of the girls there were just absolutely fantastic personality. And the funny thing is, they had no boys my age. But yet my town had 6 boys. So,
Well, that's good for you then.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way you're like, yeah, okay, yeah. Not going to answer any of those, are you?
Well, like I say, I'm a married man, and I don't want to have to explain this later to my wife. But like I say, we kept our hands where they belonged. Back then, everybody did that. I mean, you had respect for the girls.
Yeah. As it should be.
Yes.
I get you. Well, believe it or not, Ken, that's the end of the first episode. That takes us right to the end there. So, folks, we're going to be right back in just a minute here with some more. But until we do, we'll go out with this. Thank you for listening to Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show.